Recently, Senator Goldfinch and myself were introduced to Healthy Cell and their incredible line of products. Stephen started on a regimen of taking Focus and Recall after each daily workout to help his body recover from the physical demand of a workout and to help boost his focus and brain power that he needs on long days on the Senate floor. For myself, the last few years, I've been struggling to get the recommended amount of vitamins and nutrients in my body due to decreased appetite. When I was introduced to Bioactive Multi, I was excited to start a daily regimen that I felt would help my performance both on and off the water and would give me more energy to get through long days and increase my productivity. With Bioactive Multi, I know that I am getting the FDA daily recommended amounts, and with the mixed berry flavor and the ease of swallowing, my body is able to absorb these vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants through the proprietary gel format that Healthy Cell has created. This allows my body to quickly absorb and start using these valuable nutrients to help me get through long busy days just like we all go through in our daily lives. Go visit healthycell.com/trilogy and use our promo code TRILOGY, all caps, to receive 20% off of your first order and start living a better life today. For over 8 years, GovWorld Auctions has been solving surplus issues for municipalities and counties in South Carolina and beyond. Their turnkey customer service has made them one of the best in the business here in the U.S., and they are located right here in our home state of South Carolina. If you're looking for tractors, heavy machines, and vehicles, just to name a few, our partners at GovWorld have you covered. The process is simple, and their experts will come to you to inspect, photograph, and video all items before they make them available to everyone in the world for the bidding process. GovWorld online auctions are supported by mailers, emails, and promotion to the biggest buyers in the country, and they get results and the highest dollar possible for your items. Don't go out of state to another auction company. Support business here in South Carolina and let GovWorld get you top dollar for your items and put the money back in your city, municipality, or county. Give GovWorld a call or visit their website, govworld.com, for more info and to set up a visit with one of their experts to get you in the next auction. Don't let valuable items just sit behind a fence. Give GovWorld a call and start turning them into money today.
In Myrtle Beach, you always go at your own pace. Lie out on the sand, lie out by the pool, go boogie boarding, go surfing, walk the boardwalk, walk the marsh walk, golf at one of 90 golf courses, mini golf at one of 50 mini golf courses, fish off a pier, fish from a chartered boat, go shopping, get drinks, eat the freshest seafood. The list is exhaustive, but the experience isn't. You can go all out or do nothing at all. How you relax is up to you. There is so much to do and explore, whether you're traveling with friends, family, or just yourself. With 60 miles of beach, you're going to find your place. If this sounds like what you need, then this is where you belong.
Hey, do y'all like fishing for prizes? Maybe a trip to Costa Rica or a once-in-a-lifetime African safari? Well, the Grand Strand Fishing Rodeo is back. Thanks to the hard work of Visit Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and Trilogy Outdoors Media, this once popular event is back and is bigger and better than ever. This event is comprised of 12 monthly competitions that culminate in November with our annual banquet and expo, the celebration of fishing on the Grand Strand. New to this event is the freshwater division that will help include all of our anglers that live and visit the Grand Strand throughout the year. Monthly species winners will receive great prize packages from Bass Pro Shop and Surf Signs and Designs. But most importantly, they will receive an invite for them and a guest to our annual banquet and an entry in the grand prize drawing. So whether you fish the rivers, a pond, the pier, the surf, or a boat, you have a chance to win the grand prizes. To get signed up or for additional information, visit TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com and click on event. Also, you can visit any of our weigh stations and registration stations to get signed up as well. Best of luck to everyone, and we'll see you at the scale. Trilogy Outdoors. All right, folks, welcome to Trilogy Outdoors Podcast. This week we are celebrating a number of things this weekend, and first and foremost, happy Easter to everyone. And happy Masters weekend. Stephen gives me that look.
Yeah, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. It's Masters weekend. Jason Burton, the Flounder Pounder, is joining us in the Trilogy studio. And on the line is the one and only, the infamous, always bridesmaid to every kill that Stephen has, Rick.
Rick Austin.
How bad was that? I'm sorry, buddy.
That was right.
It's all right, man. It's true, though. It is true.
Well, I joked and laughed when I first heard this story of that we're going to talk about. And y'all, congratulations on your great hunt this week. I joked and said, I wonder, well, you saw my post, and said, I wonder who pulled the trigger first. And I was correct.
Okay, well, hang on a minute. So if we're going to jump right into that, I'm going to jump right in too. All right, so there was a conversation very early on in the week how Rick was dedicated to filming my hunt before I go on deployment. He wanted to get it all on camera for me. It was going to be all about me. It's all about you. I'm not even taking a gun sort of deal. Yeah, right. I'm kind of a big deal. And yeah, and he's got all the camera gear, and he's toting all the stuff, and he's being selfless, totally selfless.
Attaboy.
And he sits down in the blind, and within just a few minutes, he says, "Hey, Stephen, hey, if there,
I've already heard this one.
If there happens to be 2 gobblers, would you pass me the gun and let me shoot?" Yeah, sure, Rick. Fine. Not a problem. And I'll be danged if there weren't 2 gobblers. And you know what? Bam. Bam.
I have to say, that might be the worst imitation of me that I have ever heard in my life.
It's pretty close.
I was going to say, because when he, by the way, he did it earlier today on the broadcast radio on Southern Anglers. And I'll tell you, I think it was a little bit better this morning.
I am frightened to even understand that. But let's be honest. So, English, you did put out a post, put out the photo on Facebook, and Senator Thomas McElveen accurately 99 out of 100 times would have been correct. But yes, Stephen, I will go ahead and say this was all about you.
Until it wasn't.
This hunt was all about you. Wanted to make sure that you had something fun to remember from the spring and when you go overseas and protect us. But yeah, now I think that like most of your stories that involve me, you have embellished how I asked about that, because I think we sat down and we started hearing some birds come around, and I said, hey, if 2 come in, do you want to shoot 2 or do you want to just have 1? And you kind of gave the shoulder shrug. And so you could watch in the video, I'm not expecting you to pass me the gun after you shoot.
Oh, there was an awkward silence there after the first one. After the first bird fell and hit the ground, you sort of looked at me and awkwardly silenced yourself. Had this really sad look on your face.
I just want the gun.
Yeah, just please give me the gun.
Give me the gun.
Please.
Give me the gun.
I don't agree. English.
I saw a tear. I don't
know whether or not you're going to post the video or not, but if you decide to do, we can let the viewers.
Rick, I'm only going to do what you give me permission for, buddy. I'm not worried about what the senator says. I'm worried about you. You give me permission, since you did all the work. We are definitely going to get it up, because it probably will be the only kill that we get on video other than anything Stephen gets this year. So we'll definitely get it up. But I can't wait. This hunt, and again, I talked about it on the radio show this morning, but when it comes to hunting with your best friends and fishing with your best friend and everything else, it's always fun. It always makes it that much more better, much more enjoyable. And for you to just have the heart to go out and just think about the senator, and to truly just dedicate this hunt to Stephen, and be able to harvest a bird, it's just a big bonus.
It was a miracle that he was able to harvest a bird. He could have harvested it with his teardrops.
Yeah, I will tell you, it was one of those things, and I think, Stephen, you even said, it was a great time, and all jokes aside, another memory, because I think this was only about the second time we've actually ever doubled together, Stephen. But after having some time to reflect on it, it was one of those things that I know Stephen has shot a ton of birds. I've shot a few birds in my life now, that looking back on the setup it would have just been perfect for one of the kids. I mean, both of the gobblers were just fixated on the decoys and thinking about it. You know, it was just that perfect setup of if we had a young child with us, whether it's, you know, Steven's kids or somebody else's, it would have just been perfect because they could have moved around, and more than likely the gobblers wouldn't have done anything. And they would have had, it was so close that it was chip shots. Even a 410 would have been great. But yeah, but so goes life. You can never go, you can never predict about how a hunt's going to go. That's
No. But that's what makes turkey hunting that much better. I mean, Stephen, is that truly your first hunt for the year, or had you gone once or twice before? I can't remember.
No, I went the day before that.
Okay. That's right. You went. I knew you went.
Yeah, I wasn't like, my heart wasn't in it. I was by myself, and I don't really need to kill another turkey by myself, honestly. So I was sort of scouting, walking, spent maybe 10 minutes sitting total on whatever day that was. Was it Thursday? Wednesday. And called in a couple of jakes and scared them off, and intentionally ran them off. Mm-hmm. And called in a hen, and it was just super foggy Wednesday morning.
Yep, it was.
That fog was rolling in off the ocean like crazy. And they just weren't talking at all. I walked in. I was totally unprepared. I was not planning on going Wednesday morning. I woke up at 4:30 for no good reason and Wednesday morning and looked around and said, hey, I was supposed to be at the State House today, and it got canceled. It's 4:30 in the morning, so I'm going hunting. So I packed up all my junk, and I drove to the farm, and I started putting all my gear on, and I didn't have my bug machine.
Yeah, that would have been it's tough right now.
They're bad right now.
Yeah, and I didn't have any bug spray, and it was 5:30 or 5:45 in the morning. I wasn't about to drive 20 or 30 minutes to a Walmart to get one. So I walked in, I plopped down up against a creek, swamp and a creek, and, dude, the mosquitoes just started carrying me away. And I said, well, I'm going to sit and bear it until daylight to see where the birds are, where they're gobbling. And 15 minutes after they were supposed to be gobbling, not one had gobbled. It was so foggy you couldn't see 20 yards in front of you. And so I just stood up and started walking to get away from the mosquitoes, walking and calling, walking and calling, walking and calling. And that's when I called those two jakes in that just sort of came out of the fog. But not a whole lot going on in the fog. And then Thursday morning, which would have been the second time we hunted, Rick and I hunted. And what did we heard, how many we hear, Rick? Five or six different gobblers?
We had about 5 or 6 gobbling hard in different locations.
Yeah, they were gobbling, but we never quite got on them. And we just left our stuff where we were and decided to come back that afternoon because we were amongst them. Just, wasn't the right time that morning. And when we got back in the blind that afternoon, that's when the two birds came.
So y'all were, you were obviously in a blind.
Not a pop-up, a stake blind.
So when you say you left everything, you left decoys and everything?
Yeah, just left it behind the stake blind.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, pulled the decoys up and stuck them in the blind, yeah.
Yeah.
Left our chairs, left our packs and our calls and our decoys, and the only thing I took was my gun in case we ran into one on the way out. I think that's the only thing I took. And
Rick, it sounds to me like you need to take that gun and drop it off somewhere and leave it for a long time.
Yeah, like we were talking about, I don't know what to do with it, honestly. I mean, I've called the gunsmith back. For those of you listening that don't know, I have a
Beretta Extrema, right?
Yeah, I have 2 guns that I rely on, shotguns that I rely on for duck hunting and turkey hunting, and that would be my Beretta Extrema 2, and I've got a Benelli SB2. Well, it might be an SB3. I don't know. Anyway, I've had both, and I love the Beretta Extrema 2. I am very accurate with it. But you got to be a mechanical engineer to take the thing apart. I mean, it's just ridiculously hard to take apart and clean. So I never cleaned the gun, honestly. And so over the years, I've shot it, and I'm sure I've put 10,000 rounds through it. And I took it to the gunsmith last year because it started clicking. every few shots it would just click and not fire around. And he said, man, I've looked at it, and I think it's just shot out.
You've shot your gun out.
Yeah, you've put too many rounds through it, and it's done. And I'm like, no, I mean, what do you do with a gun that's shot? I said, fix it. Just replace the trigger mechanism. Let's see if that does it. So we replaced the trigger mechanism. I picked it up just after duck season, and this is the first time I've shot it since duck season. And very first shot, click.
I know all about that.
Yeah, very first shot, click. And I jacked another round in the chamber, and boom, shot. And I looked over at Rick, and he had a little tear in the corner of his eye. He wanted to shoot the other turkey. So I handed him the gun reluctantly. I should have just shot the other turkey and left him with no turkeys, and I would have had two. But no. Kindness in my heart dictated that I give Rick the gun.
Yep.
Gave him the gun. And
that, and also being completely illegal if you shot that second bird.
yeah, I would never do something like that.
Yeah, of course not.
So I handed him the second gun, or I handed him the gun. Clicked again. I reached over because I knew he didn't know what was going on with the gun. This is my gun. So I jacked another round in for him, and boom. But 2 clicks in the same sitting, not a good sign. So I called the gunsmith back yesterday, and he said, I don't know what else to do. I mean, I can try to replace the firing pin, and the whole bolt carrying system that's in that Beretta.
Yep.
And I said, well, order it and let's try it. I mean, I hate to you just throw away a $2,000
gun.
I mean, what do you do with it? I mean, you sit it in your gun cabinet. I mean, it's not like a collector item. It doesn't have beautiful wood. I mean, it's a synthetic Beretta. I mean, it's not like something that it's not a showpiece, right? I mean, so what do you do with a $2,000 gun that's shot out? I don't know. I mean,
I got trouble believing that it's shot out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but
That's what I was thinking. That doesn't make sense. You think they could bore it out, or go in and
fix something,
seal it, or something? I mean,
well, so now I've replaced the trigger mechanism, and this week I'm getting the entire bolt assembly replaced with the firing pin and everything. So if that doesn't work, then what do you do then, right? Like the only thing I can think of is if the gun has, when you shoot it, it expands and it contracts.
And
right?
contracts, right.
Everything, the barrel, everything, the chamber, everything. So I'm thinking if it's expanded and contracted so many times now that the shells won't seat properly.
Right.
And every so often that shell doesn't seat properly and it won't fire. It's the only thing I can think of. And if that's the case, maybe it's true. I mean, maybe you replace the barrel.
that's what I was thinking. Like, couldn't you just replace the barrel?
The barrel.
Replace the barrel, replace the trigger mechanism, replace the bolt carrier assembly mechanism, and that's everything.
Okay.
You have a brand new gun.
Got a brand new gun other than the stock.
Beretta is inertia driven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I had this similar issue with my Browning, and it turned out I guess my seal, my gas seal had gone bad, so I had to change it out. Rick, what kind of gun what do you typically shoot?
Isn't the Beretta a gas gun? Benelli's inertia driven. That's what I have. That's the infamous Benelli click that they had, which happened to me, and which you showed me on the video, which why I was a little confused because I didn't think Berettas had that, but I think Beretta is gas driven.
Okay, Beretta's gas driven too. Okay,
It is gas driven, but both of those guns will do that, Rick. If you don't give it a full cycle, when you let it go, that bolt won't turn all the way. It just turns.
Right.
It just turns halfway. It does that with Beretta, and it does that with Benelli.
and it doesn't lock in, right? So
doesn't.
when your firing pin goes off, it doesn't make the contact that it needs to make.
Yeah, which could have been his problem on the second shot because he didn't. We didn't do that. The first shot clearly a problem, clearly a mechanical problem. I'm not sure what the second. I mean, it was either a mechanical problem or it didn't turn all the way.
No, I think to your point, what you showed me, I think it was the Benelli click that got me on that one because you could see I checked the chamber because you had told me the whole time you were just doing the one-shot challenge. So after your folly and you jacked another shell in, it kind of got me confused when you handed me the gun because I had a shell that I was ready to throw in there because I thought it was going to lock back. But no, I think you're 100% right that on mine it was when I checked the chamber to see if there was one in there, and there was. I just didn't rotate it fully back. I didn't pull the bolt all the way back enough to fully engage. So
yeah, maybe so. Either way, the gun needs work. Either way,
No.
yep.
clearly.
Hey,
But
go ahead.
going
I'm sorry.
back to it, let's rewind back to actually the turkey hunt, because I think it was a pretty. Granted, I'm biased because I'm the videographer, but that to me was some of the best footage. I would almost rank it 99 out of 100. The only thing it was missing was the gobbling. But those birds seemingly came out of nowhere. If they hadn't given us a heads up, 5 or 10 minutes beforehand when they're in the pasture, I think we would have almost gotten into a situation just like before, in which they snuck up on us and busted us before we even knew we were there.
Yeah.
Because that happened to us a couple of years ago, where they cut through that same path and walked into the decoy spread and surprised us beforehand. But what's your thoughts about that, Stephen? I mean, we were calling that bird way back behind us for how long? 30 minutes?
At least. I mean, probably closer to an hour. And that's I had just said this to Rick. I said, Rick, a lot of times when you're working a bird really hard that's hung up, and that's what we were doing. We had a bird that was sort of like.
Was he on some hens already?
I think he was at about 7 o'clock. Okay, if you can imagine,
look at a clock.
Look at a clock. He was about 7 o'clock, maybe 150 yards behind us, and he was just gobbling his head off, and he double gobble and triple gobble, and I think he was hung up behind a fence. I know where he was, and there's a red gate there, and there's a barbed wire fence, and I think he just didn't want to come underneath that barbed wire fence. He may have had hens, but we couldn't see him. But I think he just didn't want to cross that fence. They've been there before, and I've dealt with them there before, and they just are very reluctant to come under that fence. And so anyway, we did both. We went quiet with him to try to get him to break, and then we went real aggressive with him to try to get him to break, and he didn't break either way. But when we get real aggressive and he's gobbling back and forth and you're calling and he's gobbling and you're calling and he's gobbling, a lot of times you'll attract a gobbler from, half the county away, and he'll come to you, sneak in on you, and try to figure out what's going on. And I said, just before we heard those birds gobble, I said, Rick, there's enough attention going on over here, enough stuff going on over here. We ought to be attracting one from another part of the farm. And it wasn't 5 minutes later, we heard gobbling out in the pasture sort of at our 1 o'clock. And maybe he was at 7. They were at 1, and 10 minutes later they were running to us. They had crossed the swamp and were running to us. And so the bird that we'd been working for an hour is not the one we killed. The bird we weren't even working is the one we killed.
And that's how it goes. It happens so much like that. If you've got that number of birds, I mean, if you've got good numbers of birds, that's how it happens. I mean, it seems like always the one that's talking to me ends up not being the one that comes. I get busted or surprised or whatever from the other side. Jason, you mentioned you've never been turkey hunting or not much experience, but you actually were with me one morning. We took Jason as a cameraman to film.
Yeah.
We put him in a deer stand filming from a deer stand, right? You were in the deer stand. But when he got to the top,
never made it to the deer stand.
He couldn't get his feet up over the top of the stand to get in.
See, he's making it sound like it's my fault.
Because you're not flexible enough, or what?
No, because
they had netting on this thing that was from 1947. So I get to the top and I'm trying to get in, and it is just completely grown in, and I'm trying to rip the vines and open it, and I texted English. I said, dude, I can't get in. And he goes, well, the birds are coming. Just get on the ground.
Yeah.
Easy enough. Find me a tree, sit down by the ground.
Yeah.
And they go, what does English say? Okay, I'm very inexperienced when it comes to turkey hunting.
Sure.
He says, quote, let me know if you see the turkeys coming.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's down across the field from us. He's not even, it really wasn't a smart move.
So I'm laying on the ground. I found me a nice little divot, so I feel like I am very covered.
Okay.
They're coming. They're running, towards them because we're spread out.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of pulling my phone out and took a picture and said, they're coming your way. Problem is, my phone wasn't silenced, so when I hit the button, it goes click, and they all look at me and run.
Yeah.
Ingles goes, yeah, you're never coming back turkey.
Oh my God!
Said I did exactly what you told me.
Yeah.
And it was picture perfect.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it was that first, they flew straight down into the field in front of where I knew they'd be near him, and just started running right to the decoys. And,
I didn't have a gun.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
no, we had him armed with a camera.
Yeah.
More deadly than a gun.
We had him armed with a camera, but man, it was
it was funny.
That was fun.
That was a good time because they gave me a good
I
time.
still say some of my best turkey hunting memories are did not end up with a bird on the ground.
Yeah.
Well, that can happen in turkey hunting. I can almost say, I mean, that is one of the few things where you can honestly say it was a good time still. I mean, if you go, let me give you an example, okay? If you pack up all of your crap at 2 a.m., you've got a big boat pulled behind your truck, okay? You've got all your buddies out there. You're working your tail off. You're shoveling ice. You're packing bait. You're brining bait. You're rigging rigs. You're putting drinks in the coolers. You're getting everything together. You go down to the landing and you put the boat in and you run your tail off 80 miles or 60 miles and you get there and you put out the spread and it's rougher than a cob and you work all day and you catch no fish and you come home. At least you rode on the ocean, right? And you got to see some pretty sunrise. But that's it.
Yep.
Right? I mean, you can't say, I always tell people, some of the worst times I've ever had have been on the ocean. Yep. Some of the best times I've ever had have been on the ocean.
This is very true.
I mean, there are times I'm getting off of.
No, we're good.
But there are. I can honestly say there are some of the best memories I've had have been on the ocean. Some of the worst memories I've ever had have been on the ocean.
It's like a love-hate relationship.
It is a total love-hate relationship. But anyway, when you go turkey hunting and you've interacted with a turkey or an elk for that matter, and you've interacted with one and they talk to you and they come in, but they hang up and you're dealing with them and you're working, you feel like you've accomplished something by the end of the day. When you come home from fishing and you caught a bonita and a barracuda, you feel like you've been beat and you feel like you've lost.
You're defeated.
Yep.
You've been defeated. Like you spent $800 in gas, you spent $200 in bait, you spent a whole day not working, you're beat up and sunburned and tired, and you got to clean up the boat and whatever else you got to deal with the next day, and you got a bonita and a barracuda, and you're like, dag blame it. Should have just stayed home. You don't get like that with turkey hunting or elk hunting for that matter.
No, I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten up in the morning, just like you said, for going fishing. I've done the same thing to go turkey hunting. When I first started, I had to drive an hour and a half to go hunt whenever I did. And I would load everything up, go get my coffee, go get there, an hour and a half early, take my time, go in quietly, get set up, sit there, and listen to them. Just the first 30 minutes of listening and figuring out where they are. And, I may sit till 10 o'clock. I may sit till 8:30 and not even get a remote close shot at a bird. I load up, and I'm driving all the way back to the beach, and the whole time all I'm thinking about is where I'm going to be tomorrow morning, how I'm going to outsmart that bird. And it will wear on me all day long until I go back the next morning, and I'm going to set up, and I'm going to catch that bird coming down that cut through. I know it's going to come down back in the back. It's coming to this field at some point in time, but I'm going to catch it this time. That doggone bird's going to come right where I was sitting yesterday.
Yeah, of course he is. Of course he is. That's why? That's because he heard you talking there yesterday.
Yep.
When you were saying that, it's not Steven's favorite subject. But you know what that made me think of?
Not golf.
Golf.
Oh my gosh.
My man, I have played golf with a lot of people. I have played golf with people that are breaking clubs over their knees, stayed in the woods, and they hit one good shot on 18, and on the way home text you, hey, you want to play tomorrow?
You want to play tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all I could think about when you were saying that.
That's hilarious.
Exactly. Well, I can tell you, it's almost time for you and I our kids are almost there. It's almost time for us to start enjoying taking them turkey hunting.
Yeah, so I have taken mine a couple of times, and I think it was still a little early. I think it's good to get them out, but, you're just not going to
You're not going to get them to be quiet.
For the most part, you're not going to have a lot of success until, minimum 7, 8 years old. I think a 7 or an 8-year-old can sit still long enough if you can kill one early and quick.
Yep.
But if it's one of these mid-morning sort of deals where they gobble their heads off and then they go quiet and get henned up and then they start gobbling again at 10 o'clock, that's just not. I mean, you're not going to get a 7 or 8-year-old kid to sit in a blind till 10 o'clock in the morning and sit still and just sit there at all. Period. I mean, you gotta entertain them more than that. So.
I'm gonna go on the page that Hadley and Kinsley both probably don't really care about going out there right now.
No, I mean, I think Hadley's got a little something going on right now where she feels like she needs to spend more time with me, and I feel like I need to spend more time with her too because
you're leaving.
I'm leaving, and so I think she would go. She wanted to go. I asked her yesterday or day before yesterday. I said, I was with them at my dad's. They're staying the night at my dad's for the weekend. I was either going to come home that night and see Renee, or I was going to stay with them and take them turkey hunting. I said, either y'all want to go turkey hunting in the morning. Both of them said no right off the bat. So I'm headed home. I'm packing up all my stuff. I put it in the truck. About 10 minutes later, Hadley came up and said, Dad, I'll go turkey hunting with you tomorrow. And I said, are you wanting to go turkey hunting, or you want me to take you turkey hunting because you feel like I want you to go turkey hunting? Well, I feel like you want me to go with you.
Yep.
So I said, well, don't worry about that. You have fun with your grandpa, and we'll get together at some other point. But I do think that hunting is a lot like fishing. And I think Rick's the one that actually said this first. I heard him say it. Like, the best way you get a kid hooked on fishing is you take them like brim fishing with a bunch of crickets.
Yes.
Yep.
Right? And they just 50 or 60 at a time and just one after another and having a good time. And that's the way you got to get them hooked on hunting too. Like short, sweet, and fun outings. You cannot be dogmatic about it and say, we're going to sit here all day long and you're going to be quiet, shut your mouth and don't move. And you sit right there. It's just not going to work. It's not going to produce what you want it to produce, the fruit you want it to produce. But I mean, if you got a good situation, you got a bird on the roost. If we're talking about turkey hunting, you got a bird on the roost. He's gobbling every morning. You know that he's getting to the end of his hens. You can set up 100 yards from him and get there without spooking him. You got everything right. That's when you need to go take your 7 or 8-year-old and sit down and kill him right off the bat, and then you'll have him hooked.
Yep. And there's adults that are just like that too.
Well, that's true. I mean, yeah. The adults that have not been spent their whole life turkey hunting, they need the same thing that a kid needs.
Yep. It will teach you patience, and it will give you a incredible respect for quite honestly, a bird with the brain the size of a pea, from what I'm told.
Oh, I always tell Rick, what do I always say? Are you still there?
Think something that doesn't think.
Yeah, you can't outthink something that doesn't think.
That's right.
Turkey wants to screw.
Yep.
A turkey wants food, and a turkey wants to get away from predators. That's all that a turkey thinks about. He doesn't think about
that. That's not a bad.
No, it's
trio.
It's a great life.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That reminds me of Jason about 7 years ago.
I was about to say, where do I sign up for this turkey-thon here?
You and the gobbler are very similar. Yeah, I mean, look, that's all that they think about. They don't think about philosophy. They don't think about going to work the next day. All it is sex, food, and I don't want to get eaten by something. Yep. Right?
Mm. And I want to fight.
Yeah, well,
you got to get the fighting in
I think
there.
that mixes in with the sex, I think.
Yeah.
But
I'll take 2 out of 3.
Right. Well, Jason likes to fight, too, from what I heard.
Oh, boy.
It gets a little scrappy from time to time.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Liquid courage is not my friend.
No.
Well, it's not a lot of people's friend.
Hey, Rick, Stephen is such a big fan of golf, and it's Masters weekend.
Oh, gosh.
So the cut, I think, is finally made. They're back out for round 3, I think. Am I hearing correctly, I think, right now? And
I haven't checked to see whether or not round 3 has started, but I'll say this. I enjoy golf. I'll go out there and I think I play about 3 or 4 rounds a year. I have a boss that has famously said that he thinks that a golf course is a waste of a perfectly good food plot. So it's actually a pretty good analogy. But that being said, I mean, how can you not get excited for the Masters?
Yep.
I mean, it's like the pomp and circumstance. So whether or not you're even a golf fan, I mean, you want to talk about the picture perfect golf course. Augusta National is, you just have to watch there. And if you ever get a chance to go, being able to go is, even for those that don't like the sport of golf, I know folks that just go to Augusta just to see the azaleas and all of the different, I mean, it's a manicured course that is completely natural. It's awesome. And, you know, I'm interested to see, personally, I wanted to see what the drama of the Live Golf Tour versus the PGA folks.
Yep.
And depending on what happens with the third round, we may get that drama with Koepka right now leading, and then you got, I think, Rahm.
Yep.
That's right behind him, and then you got this amateur Sam Bennett.
I'm telling you,
nipping at their heels. I mean, it could shape up to be a pretty fantastic Sunday. That's if we actually have it and the weather cooperates.
All right, so my heart is I'm a purist coming from the golf profession and from a family that was all involved in the golf profession. But I am a golf purist, a realist. I have grown up around the PGA. I've grown up around the PGA Tour, and I'm on the same page as you with this Masters. I was really more intrigued about how the Live and PGA Tour thing was going to go out. Obviously, Champions Dinner being the first big thing going on with all of the winners getting together for dinner in honor of Scottie Scheffler. And next was Tiger Woods. I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan. I know what Tiger Woods has done for golf. And anybody, again, that really knows golf knows exactly what he's done. And why those boys don't stack envelopes in his locker every week he plays, they're idiots, because the only reason most of them are making the amount of money they're making is because of him.
Absolutely.
But this amateur is incredible. And this is starting to look more and more like it could be a storyline about him for the weekend. And I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I think the change on 13, moving the hole back 45 yards or 35, whatever, to that new tee box is making everything different. Amen Corner is way different right now.
Yeah. You talk about Tiger real quick, and I'll tell you, when he was in his prime, I really wasn't that big of a Tiger fan.
Yep.
Just because, it was a me against the world mentality, which quite frankly, I get that, but after he had his off-course drama and everybody abandoned him. And listen, I'm not saying that what he did, I'm not condoning that whatsoever.
Yep.
But everybody abandoned him, and it almost became this sense of humility. And now you have, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, all these guys that Tiger interacts with, and you can see how he has gone from being still a great golfer to now almost being a mentor and embracing the younger generation. I became the rebirth, as I like to call it, from Tiger. Yep. I became a huge Tiger fan when I started seeing that. That to me was a great sign. And, I don't know if that just comes with age or if somebody got in his ear and said, hey, you need to do this for your PR side. But I have definitely become a big Tiger fan, especially seeing about how he came back from his injury and won the Masters, 3 years ago?
Yeah, 2019.
I was excited for him when he did that. It was a great storyline, and the fact that he interacts and is helping the next generation of golfers was something I'm very happy to see.
You mentioned obviously his off-course antics were, at times, near criminal. I would guess. Obviously, there were some things that went on. But for the most part, he's human being. And I think that's the other thing. I think it showed us that he's a human being. And there's not one person out on that PGA Tour. There's not one person in Augusta, I don't think, that wants to win more than he does when he tees it up. And and I don't think there's anybody else that works as hard either. And you think about all that he's dealing with all that, the screws and plates he's got in that left foot, right? Am I correct? The left foot.
It's the left foot.
Yeah, all that he's got. It's just incredible. And listen, do I think that he'll ever win another major? I don't know. My crystal ball definitely wishes and hopes for it. I do think he'll win again. I'm just saying that. I do think he'll separate that tie because he's still tied with Snead, right?
Yes.
Yep. I think he'll separate himself with that. And, it's fun watching. But it's been really good. And again, we were talking before we went on air. It's been really good to see this LIV Tour, PGA Tour kind of controversy / competition going on at the Masters, because I do believe Brooks Koepka, who, by the way, him and Tiger were inseparable for a long time. They were great friends, and I don't know if they are or not anymore, but I do know that they were. But I know that guy right there is just as big a competitor as Tiger is. And after winning last week on the LIV Tour, I know he feels like he wants to prove a point. And all of those guys do. They can say whatever they want to. And I do not like Phil Mickelson, have never liked Phil Mickelson. I have very valid reasons for it. I'm not a big fan. Everybody else that buys into it, good luck. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. But Phil is probably one of the most arrogant out there. And although he takes that time to sign autographs and everybody thinks he's such a big, wonderful fan person, don't let it fool you. Phil is all about Phil, and that's it. But at any rate, I'm looking forward to the weekend, and I'm glad to see him. Hey, listen, he adds to it, and he is one of the best golfers of all time. There is no one. I don't know. There's anyone as creative ever in the game of golf with a short game as he is. I mean, some of the shots that he's hit with his short game, with that sand wedge and lob wedge, are more creative than anybody ever imagined. I mean, hitting shots backwards over your head. Mm-hmm. Like, whoever thinks of that? Who sits up to a golf shot and turns around backwards because it's the only way you can hit it, and does it and pulls it off? Mm. It's awesome.
I'll tell you this. Yeah. Along the lines of LIV, and I know we got to get off golf because I'm sure Steven is sitting there.
Listen, he is over there tapping away on the phone as much as he can.
But on the LIV Tour, politics aside, I always like competition. And now, granted, the stable that they have, I'm not a big Brooks Koepka fan, kind of exactly what we're talking about. He kind of is a reminiscent early Tiger Woods before the drama. So he has that me against the world attitude, really likes to distance himself from what I've seen. And then you have Patrick Reed, who I can't stand. And then I know this is going to be blasphemy here in South Carolina, but I am not a big DJ fan. But at the end of the day, Patrick Reed, Phil Mickelson, DJ, they all have green jackets.
Yep.
And if I had a green jacket, knowing I would come back to Augusta for the rest of my life and get a boatload of money and not have to pay the schedule that the PGA Tour requires, it would be hard for me to not do what they did. So I can't blame them. I'll tell you personally, I'm still a big Jordan Spieth fan. I think that guy does it right and all the way around. So I like Jordan. I'm going to be rooting for him actually as my underdog to hopefully come back in the weekend and make a charge at it. But it will be an interesting weekend, to say the least, at Augusta.
Well, I'll tell you, we'll leave this alone after one more comment. There were a lot of people asking why Greg Norman wasn't invited to such and such and this and that. Well, Greg Norman, honestly, has been one of the biggest PGA Tour. I mean, he has taken more stabs at the PGA Tour during all this Live Tour stuff than anybody. He does not own a green jacket, so he should not be invited. I'm sorry, I don't. And I was a Shark fan. Yeah. I mean, when I was in the golf business, when I was a pro at Sedgefield Country Club, when the Shark collection came out, I had every color imaginable of those shirts. I switched to Cobra irons because of Greg Norman. But I do believe that he challenged what the very entity that created professional golf here in the U.S. and that had created his vast amount of wealth for the most part. And I think I commend the Augusta National and the Masters for not inviting. He would have taken away from everything else.
Yep. So I'll get Stephen back into this conversation.
Please do. He's got he's got that tear pulling out of his eye. You know, the one like yours.
You know, I know this story is going to shock everyone, but we were talking about memories of turkey hunts, even when you don't kill. So I remember going out to Colorado, one of the first times ever going out to Colorado. It was Stephen, myself, our buddy Will, and our friend that lives out there, Jim Giese, who's been on the podcast before. And we go turkey hunting, and Will and Jim decide to go back and call from this particular location. And Stephen and I go up to what amounts to be just some blowdown, some trees, sticks, things of that nature. And we start calling, and this bird is coming in on a string, and all of a sudden it pops up over the hill. And I get my gun up, and I'm tracking it. I'm trying to weave through the sticks and trees, and Steven's sitting there in my ear. Hey, shoot him. Are you going to shoot this bird? Hurry up and shoot him. I'm sitting there, Steven, I don't have a clean shot. I'm waiting for the clean shot. Next thing I know, Stephen pops up out of the brush and starts just shooting at this turkey. And I'm sitting there staring at him being like, what are you doing? And this turkey runs off. He was 30 yards away. I'm like, Stephen, what are you doing? Jim and Will are in the background just hollering. They are laughing at us. And Stephen and I are bickering back and forth. I was like, what did you even shoot that bird with? It's like, I don't know. I think I had some duck load or something like that. It's like, what are you doing? So I think that goes to the story of, one, it goes back to Stephen always having to shoot first. But secondly, the memories that are made of turkey hunting without ever having to harvest a bird, I think there's always going to be that with turkey hunting. It's one of the unique hunting aspects that you get memories even when you don't get the ultimate kill.
Yep, exactly. And, you know, we're working on getting people to start enjoying releasing fish here, Rick. Mm-hmm. That is a big movement that a lot of the charter captains here have gotten to, is to understand that
it's huge.
There's a lot more enjoyment, or a lot of enjoyment, that is there with the catch and release of a fish. Not having to lay it out for that picture on the cleaning table and for it to go live a 1.5 year life in the freezer and then find its way to the local dump.
Yeah.
You know, not everybody's Stephen Goldfinch who cooks absolutely everything as quick as he gets it. I mean, this guy's probably out of fish. You know, he sold his boat and
I am out of fish.
Exactly. Well, we'll take care of that today.
Appreciate that.
Sounds like we need a fishing trip.
Huh?
Sounds like we need to get him on a fishing trip.
I do. You know, there's a guy in this room that could take me fishing.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know him.
Yeah. I know him, and he
catches few fish.
He's got 7 boats, I think, or something like that.
7 boats now.
I think he's got plenty of boats, but
are you doing any offshore stuff? I mean,
we are. We just added a 32 yellowfin to our fleet.
Yep.
We are going to do Gulf Stream, bottom fishing, stuff like that. We're even going to offer a 14-hour swordfish trip.
And this is Jason Burton with Murrells Inlet Fishing.
Murrells Inlet Fishing Charters, the Flounder Pounder. Yep.
You said you were going to do what? What was
They're going to do a swordfish.
I knew you'd get your attention.
Yep, there you go.
They are talking about putting together a swordfish trip. It'll be a 14-hour trip.
So if I was to go and participate in the guiding of this trip,
Yeah.
would I be able to ride along?
Sure. You can reel them in, push the button. You can
Push the button.
gaff them. You know,
More likely.
there's all kinds of stuff you can do.
I mean, I think you need to go, but
do
you
too.
know, I will say that Chris Conklin owns the boat.
Chris Conklin owns the
Seven
boat
Sea
from Seven
Seafood,
Seas
and Chris has had some success
Yes.
out there. So you know, he's going to pass that on to Sprinkles, Captain Will Sancelli, and you know, send him out there to do it. And the boat is perfectly capable of it.
Yeah, it's a great boat.
That's what I fished on yesterday. Was a 32 yellowfin.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Lucas's.
His is 32? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Why did I think he had a 34?
And then some people used to have 32 Cape Horns.
Yeah.
They, you know,
Yes.
got rid of it, Rick.
Why'd you sell your boat? You gonna get something different? I'm assuming.
Well, I might be looking at something.
Yeah, okay.
I might be looking at something. Yeah, I loved that boat, and honestly, I would have kept that boat had it not been for my upcoming deployment. I didn't want it sitting for like 7 months.
And it was not going to sit, Rick. Would we have let that boat just sit?
No, it would have sat.
Rick, would we have let that boat just sit?
Wouldn't have. And honestly, I think the biggest driver of Steven selling that boat was his dad, Mr. Steve, generously offered to take care of the boat, run it, put it in, make sure the engines got run. And he believes that Steven got so freaked out that his dad was going to touch his boat that he would rather have sold the boat than allow his own father to maintain it for him. And
Well, as I said in the beginning, like I am the guy they go to test stuff that breaks. My dad is the one that taught me that.
Oh, boy.
He may be even worse than me. I don't know. Reckless with other people's stuff might be. Maybe that's too harsh. It's just
that is absolutely too harsh.
It just comes naturally to him.
Believe that you are talking bad about your father.
I can't either.
Listen.
I can't either.
It just comes natural to him. It's not malicious, but he breaks everything. Like pretty much everything.
Just remember, we're only about 2.5 months away from you and Senior and myself doing a couple of these together, and y'all will have plenty of opportunities to send him some love in Africa. So,
you're going to have to do more than a couple. You're going to have to do one a week for how many weeks is that going to be? A lot of weeks, 24 weeks. So you're going to have to do 24.
Yep.
I'm talking to everybody in this room on this phone call.
He already knows he's in. He already knows he's in on some.
You're going to have to get Jay. You're going to have to get Lucas. You're going to have to get Rick. You're going to have to get my dad. And y'all are going to have to rotate through.
Well, now that Jay Bache of Bache Boys Bait and Tackle, formerly, is less tired, it's not called retired. Did you hear that?
Loved that quote.
Less tired.
Less tired. But now that he's less tired, he's going to have some time. So he will be great to sit in with us.
You know what they're doing nowadays for like concerts where they're, you got these like 3D images, like the way they used to do it in Star Wars. The hologram of Michael Jackson or Elvis singing with a new guy. You could do that with me.
We are going to figure out your time difference to us. That's the other thing we need to figure out because
I think it's 9 hours.
Yeah, but I also don't know. I mean, will Joe Biden allow you to join us? Would your great commander-in-chief allow you to join us while you're over there working? I mean,
I have to figure out how to do that.
Because I'm sure we're going to have you on some. I mean.
Oh, yeah, you'll have me on.
How many hours did you say? 8?
9.
9.
So, yeah, if you did it at, like, before noon, I could probably figure out how to spend some time with you on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd definitely work on that.
We got Wi-Fi on the base, so I should be able to.
Oh, yeah, you'll be able to text and do whatever. My brother-in-law's over in Thailand right now texting us, and, of course, the time difference between here and there is incredible.
Oh, man.
So,
a day, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one day and 9 hours, I think.
Wow.
Or no, 1 day and 10 hours. 1 day plus 10 hours, I think, is what.
How does that work? I thought that
In other words,
24 hours was based.
In other words, he's in the middle of sleep tomorrow night.
Oh.
He'll be waking up for Easter here in just a little bit.
That's wild.
Am I right, Stephen? That sound right?
I think it doesn't sound right. I'll have to check. I think, well, let's check.
What?
We can do this. Rick?
Here we go.
Mr. Producer?
Yeah, Mr. Producer. We don't have Senior is our fact checker. We need Senior around. Jason, let's talk Murrells Inlet Fishing Charters.
Sure.
Busy time. What a great week y'all had for Easter. We talked, earlier on Southern English Radio Show. But how's it looking so far for the year? You getting excited?
Yeah. Everything. You know how it goes. Every time you turn on the TV, you see negativity. Things are bad. People aren't spending money. Well, let me tell you something. I don't think we're immune to it, but what we're seeing is that people work hard, and when you work hard and you want to take your family on a vacation, you're going. It doesn't matter, what's going on in the world. So we just completed Easter's really a two-part week for us. We get the week before, the week after.
Yep.
And, man, we were absolutely slammed. We were maxed out last week. A lot of people. We had a ton of people from the Great Lakes region. I mean, I must have had probably 8 or 9 trips in a row. They were either Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, and
wow.
It was actually surprising because I don't feel like we normally get those type of people. I actually had one gentleman on the boat. He was from Southern California, and I have never thought about it. I've never been out west, and I have no point of reference. But I asked him, I said, why did you come here? And he said, well, I had some extra points. I've never been to the East Coast. And when I looked up places with similar, temperatures and environment, South Carolina popped up. And I said, I never would have guessed that the driving factor from somebody to come over here from California was it's virtually the same weather.
Yeah.
I was like,
Look here. Let them all come visit all they want.
Yeah, they'll never go home.
We're not looking for them to move here.
I'm guessing he's missing a factor. Like
they're 80 the winter.
Well, that too. But I mean, like the average temperature may be the same as it is in California, but I guarantee you the humidity is not.
Yes.
Not near.
It's not even close.
But that's what this guy did. He literally was like,
I'm fine. Yeah.
So hung up on the temperature range that he's like, I didn't want to go up north and get cold. I didn't want to go south. So he's like, I looked up, he Googled
average temperature. See, here's where he's wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Because like the average temperature in, let's just say San Diego, the average temperature in San Diego is probably 78 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I bet you the variability from season to season is like maybe 3 degrees.
That's what I was going to say. It stays.
Right. That's why their average temperature is 78. In the wintertime, it's 75. In the summertime, it's 81.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So their average temperature is 78. Our average temperature is 78, but in the summertime, it's 100 with 100% humidity. Okay, and in the wintertime it's 50 with 100% humidity.
See?
And so it's miserable on either one of those spectrums.
Exactly.
That's when fact checking goes wrong.
Right, exactly right.
Well, anybody wants to hey, listen, if you're coming into Grand Strand area, coming to South Carolina, or you want a reason to come visit us, you need to give Jason and the crew a shout. MIFCFishingCharters.com. Go check them out on all social media. You can also check out Fishzilla.
Yep.
Fishzilla being his boat name for his boat and a brand of apparel and stuff that they've got going on over there. But we want to thank them for being a way station, and I'm going to challenge you to start getting your captains to sign people up, and you too. All right.
Absolutely.
So here's the deal. What I'm seeing is this. I think that Captain Justin Witten is more worried about winning every category himself that he's forgetting that we need to sign people up.
Yeah, he's
very
competitive, and he has one hero.
Himself.
He finds him in the mirror every morning.
It's like, what is the there's a saying at the Capitol. It's like what does every senator see when he looks in the mirror every morning? A governor.
That's perfect.
I like awesome. That.
Same thing in Washington. What does every senator see when he looks in the mirror? A president.
Yep, that's awesome. Well, I tell you, this month's species are great. Everybody's super excited about the mudfish.
Yeah.
For freshwater, but saltwater we've got tuna, wahoo, black sea bass. I had a black sea bass weighed yesterday by Captain Sarah Bryson. We've got not trout. What did I do? Spanish mackerel, flounder, and bluefish.
Yes.
Yep. So make sure you get signed up. You can visit www.trilogy.outdoorsmedia.com. Click on the Grand Strand Rodeo logo, get signed up. Or if you want to come down, check out a bunch of fish, come down and hang out at MIFC right there on the Marsh Walk in Murrells Inlet. You can get signed up right there. You can also come weigh fish there because, despite the fact that we still got a couple weeks before summer, you can go ahead and mentally that it's here. I mean, now every opportunity, you got spring breaks, and then you're going to have a little bit of time off. Then you got bike weeks and everything else. So, I mean, it pretty much starts, and I think it starts earlier and earlier every year. But come down and hang out at MIFC on Jason's big wooden deck. I'm sure we'll do a couple episodes of the podcast again from there. We've already done one there. And Rick, when you coming down to the beach again?
That's a good question. Obviously with turkey season, we'll see if there's another trip involved in getting down there. But to your point, spring break's getting on us, and got to try to get the girls to the beach somewhere. So hopefully sooner rather than later is the.
So y'all are next. Yeah. So y'all are next week. Y'all are post Easter spring break too.
Yep. Yeah, we are.
Yep, so are we. I don't know how. I don't know if I can get the senator involved in this, but I think that as the senator for our counties here, Georgetown and Horry County should be on the same spring break schedule.
Oh, they totally should be.
It makes no sense.
It's extraordinarily irritating.
Yeah. I mean, most of our kids' extracurricular activities are all involved cross counties, and like next week, Kinsley, who. We had some little quick day travel and stuff we were going to do. She has dance every day because they didn't have it this week because Horry County was out. So,
right.
But regardless, Rick, you ever want to come down and go fishing? I know a guy that'll take you. If Jason is slam packed busy, I will be needing to test out this new Garmin Live Scope and run it a bunch, and should have it on week after next and ready to go. So I tried to time it for right after turkey season, but it's going to get done a little bit sooner because, Jason's excited about it. I want him to see it. I want to get it on the boat. I want these guys to look at it because this is how Garmin and Marshalls are going to actually gain customers and people belief in it is to let them see it. So that's what we're going to do and get it rigged up, and it'll be cheating. From then on, all we're doing is playing a video game with a fishing rod in our hand.
Yeah. Well, I'll take you up on that, and I'm happy that you and Jason are offering it because the guy that I used to fish with would take me on those trips that we were talking about earlier, fishing-wise, in which you would wake up early in the morning and come home with the skunk in the boat still. So,
hey,
that has never happened, by the way. Not with me. Not with me.
Well, the other thing is you're so far away, but when Steven decides to go fishing, it's normally, at 11 o'clock the night before. Hey, we're going tomorrow. You want to go?
Well, I've received those text messages many a times of, hey, we're going out, be at the dock at 5 a.m. And the text message comes on at 10:45. Like, what are you at?
At least he thought about you.
The real trick is when you tell him we're going fishing.
Yep.
And he shows up, and we're going spear fishing.
Oh boy!
And he's just there.
Oh, Rick, you're just there.
He's just there to drive the boat.
Captain.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson on that one a few times, so now I have to clarify that: are we rod and reel fishing, or are you spear fishing? But luckily, I have a great wife that is very accommodating with those types of late night requests. But to his point,
you can do
fool
both.
me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not getting fooled again by Steven unless he starts lying to me straight to my face.
Hey, Rick, though, there is a big positive to that trip that you go on with him is you end up with some incredible delicacies for the table.
Yeah, you get to eat.
Yeah.
You get to eat good. But, hey, it is a lot of fun. My shoulders aren't feeling it right now, but it is a lot of fun to get out there and pull on some fish, that's for sure.
Well, we didn't talk about I know we're running low on time, but can you tell us quick rundown?
Yeah, real quick. We fished our day 2 of the Wahoo series. Last week when we fished day 1, we were unsuccessful in catching anything much bigger than 14 pounds was our biggest Wahoo. We caught some nice blackfin, not a lot of them. But yesterday we made a little different change of plans. Lucas Williams made a call. We wanted to go a little south. A lot of the bigger fish had come down south of the Georgetown hole. We went down and we started at the McDougal area, which is, 3 miles north of the hole. And we trolled the ledge through there. We ended up catching 34-pounder early high speeding. And then due to fuel capacity and everything else and how long we wanted to stay, we had to stop and go to meat fishing. And then came the bonita and the barracudas, and Lucas and I have no patience for those, so we went right back to high speeding, and we started killing the big blackfin. We have I'll be cleaning fish here in the next hour, but we've got 6 over 20 at least, and that's a good blackfin tuna per year.
So you were catching all the blackfin high speeding?
No, we yes, but on cedar plugs.
On cedar, high speed and cedar plugs.
13 to 15 miles an hour, and that. Yeah. I mean, again, ultimately, high speeding. We were spending most of our time 16 to 18 miles an hour, but due to fuel capacity and honestly, going from that Key West, that 26 Key West was really good for high speeding.
Oh yeah.
But now with that yellowfin, you've got it's hard to find that happy medium where you're not just nonstop having to work the throttle.
Right.
And it is 13 to 15 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's the sweet spot for the bigger deep V holes.
There's been a couple yellowfins caught in the last week out of here. They were both came from the north area, up around the Scarp.
Yep.
We were obviously hoping for that. They're the leading tuna for the Wahoo series is 33 pounds.
Wow. Is that a blackfin?
Blackfin.
Oh, that's not getting beat.
No. I don't think. Not unless it's a yellowfin.
Unless it's a yellowfin, yes.
But, Stephen, you remember the days of yellowfin here. I unfortunately don't. But, to hear all the stories about how the yellowfin were here and then all of a sudden, whoop, gone.
Yeah, in 1 year.
Gone. Just gone.
1 year.
Yeah, it went from y'all could go limit out on yellowfin.
I think the last year we caught yellowfin and they were thick was like 2000. It was either 2006 or 2007.
I was going to say 6 or 7 or 8, but yeah, I had heard.
And then the next year it just like there were none. But I'll tell you what.
But we had no blackfin, right?
We had very few blackfin and really very few dolphin. Like you could catch 18 or 20 yellowfin in a day, and you'd catch 4 or 5 dolphin in a day, and like maybe one blackfin mixed in somewhere. And then it just like it flopped. And within 2 years, we started picking up more dolphin and more blackfin and no yellowfin.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, now you're catching 50, 60. The peak week, I guess I should say. There's a couple peak weeks in there, but the peak week for dolphin, you catch 50 or 60.
Yep.
If you hit it right, and that was unheard of back then.
It's just crazy how it shifts. I mean, I know there's a lot of science behind it and a lot of theories, but it is crazy that the fish migration could change that dramatically.
Really dramatically. And I'm wondering, like, next time we go, like, if we go.
We're going.
If we go sword fishing, and this time of year is really when I wanted to spend some time, if I still have my boat, I wanted to spend time this time of year sword fishing because I wanted to be 130 miles offshore looking for yellowfin. You
wanted to be out there to have, exactly.
Like on the run out, on the other side of the stream, when you start seeing those big rollers, and you're in 3 knots of current, and you run past 1,000 flyers and birds piling in the, in the sea. That's when you stop and start looking for yellowfin. You're in 2,000 feet of water, 1,800 feet of water, because that's the only place we're going to catch them. That's where you're going to find them nowadays. If you find them, is when you're sword fishing on the other side of the stream.
That would be my thought too. And I know a lot of guys from Charleston have dedicated several trips to go to the other side of the stream to see if they can find them there. But I'd love to be a part of one of the sword fishing trips. And Lucas even mentioned yesterday, like he wants to. So he's got electric setup and everything for you.
Well, let's go do it.
You still got your rods?
Fine today. Yeah, I got everything.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You still got that high speed stuff we were talked about last week?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We're good. We're good. Lucas went and spent $900 on 5 lures.
Oh,
wow.
Gosh.
I'm telling you, high speed, it's expensive.
It's no joke.
But it works.
Yeah.
But it works. Yesterday, Andrew Wirt was back on the way home at 8 o'clock in the morning. Had limit of wahoo in the boat. Had 6. They had 6 wahoo in the boat, and were on the way home at 8 o'clock yesterday morning.
Yeah.
But 41 was their biggest.
Yeah.
41 was the biggest. So
Well, you should have released them.
no. I think it was bigger.
If he was doing that much, if he was hitting them that hard, he should have started releasing the smaller fish at the end and kept at it till he picked up the bigger ones.
Well,
he's high speeding, so he probably killed them.
yeah, exactly. He did. You can't. You're killing them.
Killing most of them.
All right. That being said, Rick, thank you so much for taking the time on this rainy afternoon. Let's go watch some Masters now, huh?
That works. Appreciate y'all having me on.
All right, buddy. Happy Easter to you and the family. We appreciate it. All right. You already hung up on him?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. All right. So anyway, yeah, we're done. Jason had to leave. He had to go move his truck. He had to move his truck for the boss lady.
The boss lady.
Boss lady's she's probably busy. Easter Bunny's coming tomorrow.
She's. I'm sure she's gonna have a spread for him.
The Easter Bunny. Oh, that's what. My phone's blowing up too. Look, my phone's blowing up too. Get home. I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm not far behind you. I'm having to get out of here. But
the ladies are good for that.
they are. Renee,
I would never. I would. It wouldn't.
there
even,
she is.
It wouldn't even cross my mind to like get all the stuff together.
There's the boss lady.
That they get.
That's
together.
right. Well, listen, y'all go grab the magazine. Did you peek through it? I brought one. Yeah, I think it turned out good this month. Great articles this month. And if you're listening, Grand Strand Saltwater Anglers Flounder Tournament is the 28th and 29th. The tournament being the 29th of April. Make sure you get signed up for that. Live release Flounder Tournament here in Murrells Inlet. Lots of money up for grabs. Come down and fish. Book a trip with Jason for that weekend and just fish the tournament with Jason.
Yeah.
I know he'll make himself available. And let's see, I think that's about it. Get signed up for the Grand Strand Fishing Rodeo. Don't forget www.trilogyoutdoorsmedia.com. Make sure you click on the Grand Strand Rodeo. Get signed up. Welcome to Gov World. Welcome, obviously, to Healthy Sale. And we got another partner, and we don't know which brand we're going to be promoting, so we'll hold off on that. But Southern Crown Partners, thank you so much.
We might be adding another.
Uh-oh.
I'm just going to tease.
You're always busy.
Just going to tease it with that. We might be adding another in the near future.
Oh boy,
somebody that'll fit in well.
That even sounds better.
Yeah,
that even sounds better. Well, listen, we're going to get on out of here, y'all. Y'all have a great Easter, a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the Masters. Enjoy your family. Enjoy some great food. I'm going to enjoy cleaning blackfin tuna all afternoon. But in the meantime, make sure you click like, subscribe. You know that little thing on there to say subscribe? We really need you to do that. We want you to click like and download. Download this because we get our numbers that we need when you download, right? Not when they just listen. We need you to download. So do that. And we'll be back next week with another episode. And we'll see what else. Jason, you can tell everybody bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. This is us. We out of here. And we'll be back next week. We're going to talk some more fins, fur, and feathers, all right here on Trilogy Outdoors Podcast.
Trilogy Outdoors Podcast is a product of Trilogy Outdoors Media. All views and opinions of our hosts and guests are not necessarily those of our sponsors. Trilogy Outdoors is produced and edited by Trilogy Outdoors Media. Be sure to follow us on all the podcast platforms as well as our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also, don't forget our other brands, Southern English Radio Show and Walk 'Em All Outdoor Magazine. To find more information, visit TrilogyOutdoorsMedia.com. And remember, if it's anything dealing with fins, fur, and feathers, you're going to find it right here on Trilogy Outdoors.